Hello everybody and welcome to a Heroes of the Shire tutorial, or should I say deep dive, because this is not actually a tutorial. And today we're going to be looking at the Witch Doctor character. Now I know the Witch Doctor is a popular character based on our PvP tournament. They were the second, no, I think they were the first most picked character actually out of all 20. But we're not starting with the Witch Doctor because of that. We're actually starting with the Witch Doctor because we're going to go in alphabetical order in reverse. And so there's a couple of things to look at then when we're doing a deep dive with the Witch Doctor character. First off, before we do any deep dive, you've got to know the kit. You've got to have a quick read at the spells. You've got to look at the skill tree and see the different paths. And of course any ability cards if we have any. So the Witch Doctor is predominantly a damage support character. Now he's not a support character in the sense of the Bard and the War Drummer, where they're directly buffing their allies. This support character relies on debuffing your opponents. We've got status effects on the board such as Hex. We've got Confused. We can strip away defense here and defense down here. We can apply darkness here on an AoE. We can place poison on an AoE and single target here. We've got some healing here, and our passive ability is more healing. Then when we go down the skill tree, we've got voodoo healing. As you'd imagine, it really does increase your healing dramatically. But this ability is absolutely insane, and when we were designing the game, it was possibly the best ability that we had made, and I still think it's possibly the best ability in the game to this day. If it's not countered with the anti-heal, that can't be healing condition, then the Witch Doctor just gets so much benefit from healing control, which is anytime he heals with his passive ability, which if you're not too familiar with it is called Healing Wave, where he targets one player and gives them 2 HP and another player that gives them 1 HP. Now remember, that is his hero ability, so that's not, you don't have to spend your turn healing anybody. That's just part of your hero's passive ability. But then of course we got Voodoo Wave up here that increases the heal by 50%. Healing Party heals an additional player, so you can potentially heal 3 players, one for 3 HP and the other 2 for 2 HP each, as part of your passive hero ability. And then to top it all off, you can cleanse them of any negative buffs or conditions. You can only remove one of them at a time, but remember, you're getting that for free each turn. You don't have to cast a cleansing spell, and you don't have to cast any healing spells. You're just naturally getting that. So it's very, very strong. If you're going to go down this path, you've also got access to the Zombie Cat. Now the Zombie Cat, if we have a quick look here, it deals quite good damage. It deals 100% more damage to pets, so it's quite good for popping off enemy pets if you're in arena mode. I say that, I mean there's quite a few pets actually in scenario mode. Quite a few of the bosses, especially the Earthosaurus that's summoning all those baby goats. They all come in handy. But the 2 things that we need to note on the Zombie Cat are, you can place Taunt on it and then you can revive it when it dies. Now to do that, you're going to have to cast Undying Force, which is this spell over here, to place Taunt on the cat, and then you're going to have to cast Voodoo Worship to revive the cat. Okay. If you're going down the cat and the darkness strategy, so when the cat dies with Taunt on it, if your opponents have darkness, they lose 8 undefendable damage. And then of course you gain 4 HP up here as well. If you're going down that strategy, then you might want to consider other ways of placing Taunt on the cat, with maybe the War Drummer or the Warrior, or even the Musketeer. But if you are going to be going down that route, then you possibly want to play with somebody like the Blood Mage. We have a quick look at the Blood Mage's ability here. We've got Living Dead, that he automatically revives the first target he sacrifices each battle. So you don't necessarily have to place taunt on the cat as much. It's just the cat dies, the cat comes back. He can automatically come back. Then the blood mage can revive the cat again at a later stage if he'd sacrificed it previously. You've then also got the ability to revive it with voodoo worship. Now, well, that would be a darkness strategy, which ties into dark bindings, where you get another AoE darkness. Okay, but that strategy is quite nice there. But going down the healing voodoo, you don't necessarily have to use the darkness theme. It's just a sub theme to keep the damage aplenty whilst you're still winning the battle. With all this tempo you're gaining through the cleansing and the healing that's not even casting a spell for turn. But what I was getting at is the voodoo healing is so good, it can just go with any other hero or heroes. It doesn't matter too much. Then you've got the Venomous Path down here. The Venomous Path gives you a permanent +2 defense whilst you are poisoned. Whilst you're poisoned, your cooldown dice reduced by a value of 2 each upkeep instead of 1, so your spells will come back quite fast. And then you've got a way up here of taking a bonus turn and planting poison on yourself. A nice strategy here is to take this skill tree with a Poison Master Assassin. Because what he can go and do, he's got Helpful Infection, so he can ensure that you have the poison on yourself should an enemy cleanse it away from you. And then he's also got this Detoxification, which means he can remove the poison and grant you 10 HP, which is quite a significant heal, especially for the other benefits that you're getting here. That you get the 2 defense, and then you also reduce your cooldown dice by a value of 1. Now, obviously, if you want poison on you permanently with the Witch Doctor, if you're on round 8, you have lost 8 undefendable damage throughout the course of the battle, which is quite a lot. So that's where, the detoxification comes in quite nicely, and it's just another backup plan to plant poison on yourself with the assassin. And then, of course, this tree really wants you to be using Acid Clouds and Poison Curse and your Toxic Strength, because you've got 50% more damage here if your enemy's poisoned. That does stack with Toxic Strength. The Toxic Strength over here that gives us another 50% more damage. So it'd be 50% more damage plus 50% more damage, which is really nice. And you've got a few opening lines of play here. You've got Confusion Ray, which is a very, very strong spell. Confused and -2 defense for 3 turns. Now, what I tend to do is I go Poison Charm, give myself the poison, which means my cooldown dice are reduced by a value of 2, and I've got the high defense, and then you go straight into a Confusion Ray, which means the following turn that is going to go down to a 4, and then the turn after that it's going to go down to a 2, which means it'll be back quite quickly. And don't forget as well, by the way, that Poison Charm also includes itself. So you receive poison and immediately take a bonus turn, so the cooldown dice on that goes to 5. Then you immediately take the bonus turn, and during your dice upkeep, you reduce values of 2. So this 5 goes to a 3. So that means that you want to be Poison Charming all the time whenever it's up. Because it keeps the higher defense value on yourself at the sacrifice of a small amount of HP, which can be negated through the Healing Wave ability here. Okay, so the Venomous Path is sort of your direct damage path. You're going to be placing poison on your enemy quite a lot, which is quite helpful to reduce their agility values. I'm dealing, quite considerable more damage than you would in some of the other paths. And then last but not least, we've got our Curse Anthology path, which is, there's a couple of ways to skin the cat here. First off, we've got this very strong ability here that allows your curse spells to immobilize enemy spells for 2 turns. And it gives us access to a new spell here, Death Curse. So, we go Death Curse, AoE, target all the enemies, and we hex them and immobilize one of their spells for 2 turns, followed up by a Curse of Darkness, Immobilize, another spell for 2 turns. So that means, you're controlling your enemies out of the game, followed up by a Poison Curse. So that's, really strong with the curses. But then we also have, how I like to play this build personally, is we've got, oh, come on, I can't. Here we go. We've got Warlock synergies. So if you guys remember the Warlock's hero ability called Funnel Condition, which means that he can remove as many negative buffs and remove as many negative conditions only from his enemies as he chooses, and he gains HP for each one removed. If we go down the curse anthology, we get access to impending death here. So that means we've got burn, bleed, poison, wounded. We've got hex. We've got glowing. Then in our base kit, we've also got confused, another hex, and darkness. So we've got darkness, which is 1, poison, which is 2, hex, which is 3, confused, which is 4, burn and bleed, which is 5 and 6, and glowing. We've potentially got 7 negative conditions that we can have on our enemies. And if the Warlock is down this path here, double the fun. Each time he removes a negative condition from an enemy, he gains an extra 1 HP. So each negative condition, he can gain 2 HP. You top that up with the healing wave, the Warlock is just gaining so much passive HP. He becomes a sort of a pseudo tank, and that's without any, the Warlock doing his own dots. But having access to impending death also just means that the Warlock can be freed up from having to spend his turn casting corruption, for example. So that's another avenue which you could look at with the Witch Doctor, with the Warlock going down the dots. If we don't take the spell mastery into consideration, if we just look at the base kit here, there's a couple of things that stand out. With the energized condition and HP regen and the HP up here, we're passively going to be healing quite a lot. But we do need to survive. So pairing ourselves up with other heroes that could boost our defense stat, maybe because we are on the lower end at 4, or have some other crowd control themselves, status effects like being paralyzed to stop your opponent attacking, which just gives you that extra turn or 2 to just keep this healing going here, especially with the Voodoo Worship, giving yourself energized. But one of the other things that stand out is we do have -2 defense here for 3 turns and -2 defense here for 3 turns. Now another character that comes to mind, which is good at stripping defense, is the Blood Mage. I'm not going down the sacrificial path here, but looking down the Blood Magic. On the Blood Magic, we've got Decompose. -2 defense for 2 turns, -1 defense for 3 turns. So if we could stack that maybe turn 1 Confusion Ray, which also confuses them, which means they can't cast support spells to cleanse the debuffs away. Now, you can follow that up with an Undying Force, so that means that the Witch Doctor alone has given -4 defense. You can follow that up with the Decompose maybe on the first turn with Blood Mage, which is effectively -3 defense. So -3 plus the 2. That means your opponents are already going to be at -5 at the end of round 1. Then you follow that up with an Undying Force and the Twisting Nether. So your opponents now, what did we say? -5. Then we've got another 3 here. So potentially -8 defense, which is strong. It's very, very strong. Based on base stats, none of the heroes, if you were in arena mode, none of the heroes would have any defense at all, which means all your damage is basically undefendable. Or if you're up against opponent strategies with high defense, like warriors, war drummers, druids, you can just help mitigate their defense stat increases with all these decreases that the Witch Doctor has to offer, maybe paired up with somebody like the Blood Mage. And that's kind of it, really. Obviously, I've given a few examples here of that plays quite well with Blood Mage, Warlock, and Assassin, but back to what we mentioned earlier, the witch doctor really is a jack of all trades. Now, don't let that fool you into thinking that this character only works well with a few. This character really, you can slot him into any team and he'll be greatly appreciated. So I'll leave you there with my 2 cents, and I hope you guys enjoy dabbling and playing with the witch doctor. Have a wonderful day. Take care for now.